Afternoon to everybody in the room. It's really fantastic to be here, to see so many of you in the flesh. And after 18 months of living in a virtual world, I'm really liking the idea of giving speeches to live audiences. So really, really fantastic to see you. My message for today to you is clear. As I said in my conference speech, the Labour Party conference speech, Labour is back in business. The dual meaning of this is entirely deliberate. We are, and we always were, the party of work. Founded in the workplace, we're the party of working people. And that means that Labour is also the party of business. The first annual report of the CBI, back in 1965, made a point that I think still stands today. The whole future of Britain, it reported, rests on the success of industry. Industry must be dynamic, competitive and profitable to compete in an ever-increasingly competitive world. Those words, half a century ago, could have been written yesterday. Britain is not as dynamic, as competitive and profitable as we need to be. And today I want to discuss how we can create a contract together to put that right. In a way, we've always been bound together, the Labour Party and the CBI. The CBI was founded, at least in part, as a response to a Labour government. Your commemorative book, many of you will have seen that commemorative book, called The CBI, 50 Years of Business Innovation, notes that the radical policies of the Wilson government resulted in sharply divided tactics amongst your members. Today, I want to give you a flavour of a future radical Labour government that will not provoke division. Because if you get above the political fray and survey the British economy over a longer time frame, we have a familiar and a persistent problem. We still haven't cracked productivity. Now, I heard what the Prime Minister said this morning, but I'm afraid that even before the pandemic, Britain went through the worst decade of productivity growth since the Industrial Revolution, the worst decade. Now, that is staggering. Now, of course, the government has its own answer to the productivity problem. He's called Geoffrey Cox. But we might need a little bit more than that. Now, it's not as if we don't know the answer. We need increased business investment and better capital stock and improved infrastructure. We need to embrace new technology. We need to lift our export performance. We need cities outside of the southeast to become economic powerhouses, which is why it was so devastating to see the government rip up its promises in relation to HS2 and the Northern Powerhouse Rail. These are not just train lines. They're lifelines for businesses and commuters. And it's not just a betrayal of the North, it's a betrayal of the economic potential of those regions, denying them the growth that your Director General, Tony Danker, has championed so effectively, including in his speech this morning. And if we're really serious about improving productivity, then most of all, we need to invest in our people, to ensure they have the skills that are right for the modern economy. After the pandemic and after Brexit, we need a national reset. The business community and the political world need to work together. We both have a job to do. That job is to remake Britain. And that means remaking Britain's economy so that it's fit for purpose and fit for the future. Now, relations between politics and business have not always been warm. The Prime Minister himself has not exactly been complimentary. I can promise you that the only F words I will be using are foreign investment, fair trade, fiscal policy and fiduciary duty. I know that we have bridges to build, and I want to start that dialogue with you today. I want to start that conversation by thanking you for the part you've played, especially in the last 18 months, where your incredible resilience and hard work helped protect livelihoods and communities. Your leadership made a real difference, and I think, and I'm sure you share this, that the reputation of our businesses has been enhanced by what you've done in the last 18 months, 2 years. So let me describe how I see my side of the contract. Getting our economy to grow, getting to grips with the problem of productivity, and giving business a generation of young people ready for work. Any contract, of course, needs to be based on stability in tax policy, in regulation, and the terms of trade. You want as much certainty as you can get. You want independent institutions, treaties that are respected, contracts that are enforced. After COVID and Brexit, our public finances are in a fragile state. In her recent speech, Rachel Reeves, my brilliant Shadow Chancellor, made her commitment to fiscal discipline abundantly clear. Our 5 fiscal rules made it plain that we will never spend money just for the sake of it. We really don't think that the solution to every problem is to throw cash at it. And just as every one of you scrutinises the cost side of your business, constantly asking if investments are paying off, we'll do the same on behalf of the tax-paying public. The problem we face today is that we have no industrial strategy, no business plan. The budget, the recent budget, was an opportunity to address that and remake Britain. But it was an opportunity that was missed. In Tony Danker's own words, he said it isn't bold enough to deliver the high investment, high productivity economy the government seeks. I think putting a cap on investment, as the government has, is a false economy. It's a cap on ambition and a cap on productivity. And there's nothing that suggests a government getting to grips with the scale of the challenge. And you can see all around what happens when a government has no plan. It's happening now. Prices going up. Energy getting more expensive. Taxes rising £3,000 more per household by 2026. £3,000. And with the effects of Brexit and COVID working together, a shortage of labour. And the really irritating thing about this is it was all so predictable. Lord Villamoria himself warned, I think, in June about the perfect storm of economic problems that was brewing. He pointed, I think, to HGV and to the drivers, as well as butchers, brewers and welders. It's the same in professional services and the same in manufacturing. This is, in part, about Brexit, because the government thinks all it has to do is say the words, "Get Brexit done." It has absolutely no plan to make Brexit work. And let me be clear. Labour is not planning a rematch. Brexit has happened, and we're not going to rejoin. But it's obvious that a poorly thought-through Brexit is holding Britain back. It's astonishing to see a government that negotiated a treaty now complaining that the deal they signed doesn't work. Wait till the Prime Minister finds out who negotiated the Northern Ireland Protocol. I wish he would stop picking fights for the sake of it and just get on with it. Labour will work with you with business on this. We should carry out a transparent and honest analysis together of all the holes in the Prime Minister's deal. We need to work out how we can fill them, and fast, without the risk of trade wars, without erecting further barriers to cooperation with our allies, and without the need for even more years of painful negotiations. Now, of course, decisions that have been made must be respected, and negotiations will be tough. And this is a message to both sides of the Channel. We all have a duty to make Brexit work. So bear with me as I give you some concrete examples of what we would do. We would negotiate a new veterinary agreement for trade in agri-products. Now, this would have two benefits. First, it would help to get through the impasse over the Northern Ireland Protocol. Second, it would cut red tape and barriers for exporters across the United Kingdom. Labour would also look to find an agreement on mutual recognition of conformity assessments across all sectors. That would mean that our producers would no longer have to complete two sets of tests. There would be no need for two certification processes to sell goods in both the UK and the EU. We would also seek regulatory equivalence for financial services and mutual recognition of professional qualifications.